Hey there, Shrees here from Pieces Calligraphy. Welcome back to another day in my YouTober challenge, where I'm bringing you a new video every single day for the month of October. For today's video, day 26, I wanted to go over a couple of tricky letter connections. I've gotten lots of requests for these connections, so I gathered all of the different combinations and put them together in this video, so I hope you find it helpful. I'll show you step by step how to do them, so just keep watching. Okay, so for starters, I love showing letter connections in this little equation or formula, if you will, and so it just kind of helps to see we are not actually writing letters here, we're just building them by creating strokes. So if ever you feel like you're having trouble with a letter or letter connection, just remember you can always break it down into these individual strokes that you can then practice. Now, before we begin, I want to review the letter O really quickly. You want to start off with an entrance stroke. It's just good practice. And then you have your oval and then a comma dot or an eyelet. Now, what those individual strokes look like here, you can see that I'm breaking them up. And it really is like math. We're just putting them all together into one entire letter, but they're really individual strokes. Once you can change your mindset like that, it just is a game changer. So other ways to finish off the letter O, instead of a comma dot, you can do a filled in loop here. See how I fill in that loop? Or you can simply just make a delicate connection without any pressure on the inside of the oval. You can also get pretty modern and have some fun with it. So here are two modern variations that you can also try. Now that we have our different letter O's here, I want to point out one huge similarity. Look at these exit strokes. Okay, they're not your typical exit stroke, but they are leaving the oval and you are prepared to then connect that to another letter. So pay attention to that stroke with these following letter connections. So depending on the letter you're connecting it to, you're going to use that exit part, that exit stroke. Okay, so for this first one, we're going to connect the letter O to a letter I, just for a simple basic one. So see where I ended off with that exit stroke up at the waistline. I'm going to use a different color pen because it just helps to highlight that connection that I'm adding on. So see how it beautifully just lines up. You want to align that exit stroke from the O onto the thick outside shade of that letter I. So let's do another connection here. Now I'm going to take that comma dot and finish above the waistline into a little bit of the ascender space. That is in preparation for the letter R, because what's going to happen is I'm going to use a little part of that stroke that went above the waistline, and see how I just added a little bit of pressure and then I came down and completed the letter R. So here's one other variation of that where I don't put any pressure, but I just kind of follow along the stroke and then put pressure on the second half of that X height. Okay, we're going to get a little bit more complicated here. So with this next letter connection, pay attention to what happens to my comma dot. I create it and I go immediately into an overturn. The key here is to see how that comma dot basically transitions into an overturn. Okay, so here's a regular overturn, right? But instead of creating the whole thing, see where I cut it off in the middle there on the left side? We're going to use the rest of that overturn and transition from your comma dot into that overturn. And then from there, you can add your compound curve, and then you have your O to N connection. Next, we'll do the O to the V. I'm going to do the same idea from that comma dot transitioning into the overturn, but instead of an overturn, we're going to do a compound curve. So I kind of stop at that baseline there, just because it's a nice break in that really huge stroke. When it's all together, it's one big stroke. And see how I just finish up with an upstroke, and then you can give the V its own comma dot. So let's go ahead and break this down a little bit more. What you're seeing here is that comma dot is transitioning into the V. And here I just do an alternative ending. Instead of stopping at the waistline, I go a little bit above and loop over. Just a nice, fun little modern touch. So let's kind of break down this area here. What's happening is I'm making a compound curve, but again, cutting it off a little bit on the left there. And so what's happening is my comma dot transitions into the remaining part of that compound curve. Okay, so you can kind of see the different colors really helps to identify where that is. And then I cut it off again at the baseline just to give myself a break and pick up my pen, but you can just go right through if you want. Last but not least, let's connect two O's together. Okay, so since I'm connecting to another curved stroke, you don't want to finish the comma dot at the top of the waistline, but instead stop it a little bit below because then it will connect better to that oval. I'll do it again with a different colored pen here. So you can see if I create an oval, I don't want to miss that curved part of the oval. And so that's why that exit stroke stops a little bit below the waistline. But on this orange O, I go all the way up to the top just in good practice. So now I'm going to go ahead and put these letter connections in actual words. I just think it's really helpful to see them in their full context. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of words here down below. And if you have any other suggestions for letter connections or other examples that you want to see, please leave me a comment below with those suggestions. I'd love to take them and create another video. So go ahead and pause this video and leave that comment now, or you can just go ahead and do it as you're watching me write these words for you. Now I'm going to have a little bit of fun here and also give you some modern variations and just little touches that you can try to incorporate in your own writing. So here I'm just kind of making the F a little bit more playful, and then now I'm getting a lot more modern and just loose with my writing. And see how I'm also incorporating a different kind of O. So as long as you are paying attention to where that comma dot finishes, you can really connect your O to any letter. You may just have to make a few adjustments. So just rewatch those parts because depending on the letter you're connecting the O to, you may want to stop it short of the waistline. You may want to end it right at the waistline, or you may want to go above so you have something to work with. So what I love about breaking up letters into their individual parts is this is where that modern variation can come into play. So I'm taking the same word here and I'm just sort of looping around with certain strokes. I'm ending a little bit down below the baseline instead of finishing up with an exit stroke. Here in this oval, I don't put any pressure at all. I feel like it's a little bare, but you can still write the same word. Now let's go ahead and do some of those double O's. I know double letters can be a little tricky. Let me know in a comment below if there's a double letter that you're looking to see some examples of. I'd love to share that with you. But in this double O, I mean, it's really just a matter of creating each one individually and slowly, and remembering all of the skills that you've learned so far, just the thin up, thick down, and where to connect the letters, making sure you're lifting your pen. It all just builds up to this point. And then I'm going to get really whimsical and scripty and loose here. This is another fun way to incorporate different kinds of ovals and play around with the connections there. I kind of broke some of the rules and just made my own variation. So there you have it. Letter connections that are a little tricky but doable. I hope with this video you found it really helpful. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it and found it helpful. I'd love to hear from you, and comment down below, like I was asking earlier, what other letter connections do you want to see or example words. Please let me know. And I'm excited to see you tomorrow for day 26. YouTober is almost over, so I'll be cranking out just a few more videos for you. And until then, I hope you're enjoying the whole series, and I'll leave a link down below to the rest of the series so you can catch up. And I'll see you tomorrow for day 27. Bye.